sensitive or non-sensitive. Moving on to the Utara Masalah area, these are basically following along the road, so we consider those as sensitive. In the city center, similarly, you can see that the sensitive areas are basically at where the stations are. So these are underground stations and they come all the way up to the surface. The rest of the alignment are basically the tunneling works which are underground, which may not have that direct impact on the traffic. Okay? So in the city center, it's more concentrated at the station locations. Down south, from Maluri right down to Kajang, this is the Jalan Ceras area. So definitely we consider that as sensitive. We will have direct impact on Jalan Ceras. From here to here is basically running along the Grand Saga highway. On the Grand Saga, it is also still sensitive, but certain stations are off the highway. So we consider that as less sensitive. Okay, so motorists using the Grand Saga highway will not be adversely affected by the works. Towards the southernmost end, where we have our three stations, Jalan Impian, Bandar Kajang, and Kajang Station. Those are right along the existing road, the old Jalan Ceras road heading into town. Bandar Kajang Station is in town itself, and Kajang Station is at the commuter station. So we consider those as will be heavily affected. So those are sensitive. What are the mitigative measures that we are taking? Well, the whole objective, as we have mentioned before, is basically to protect the road users and the public from any construction hazards that may arise during the construction. So we do that by trying to minimize the inconvenience during the construction. And we are hoping that once we are able to achieve that, to do that, implement that, then we can avoid any negative perception that the public may have and increase the public acceptance of the project. As an example, here we have a view of Jalan Ceras, typical view of Jalan Ceras. And once the work starts, typically this is how it would be affected. Here is the work area where the structures will be constructed. So since we are taking up this work area, there are mitigative measures that we can take. One of them is basically shoulders can be widened to accommodate an additional lane. So if we take up this center lane here, then it will be compensated by another lane at the side. Okay, so that is the mitigative approach that we are taking. Secondly, where the lane widths are quite wide, I mean in this example, Jalan Ceras, the lanes are quite wide, then we can slightly reduce the lane while maintaining the standards required by the authorities, and we can still maintain the number of lanes. That's another measure that we can take to minimize the impact on the traffic. So in that sense, we are not we are planning not to reduce the number of lanes as much as possible. When looking at the impact on traffic for the whole alignment throughout the construction period, there are a few initiatives that we have looked at. I have listed down here the initiatives that we are implementing, and also some initiatives that are still ongoing with various authorities and various agencies. The first one is basically to implement and approve traffic management plan, and we do not just say to have some traffic personnel on the road to look after this. We have structured the whole operation so that it will be well implemented, well managed. The team must be structured with the proper personnel, proper traffic management team. We will have an emergency response team, so this will all be in place. In fact, these are already in place and ongoing right now. This just gives you an example of what we mean when we say that we are going into the details with regard to managing traffic during construction. You can see one element in the traffic management plan is to have an emergency response team. And the purpose of this team is actually to be on standby at the work area in case there are any breakdowns on the road, to make sure that any obstructions on the road are cleared immediately, to make sure that if there are any complaints from the motorists, they are attended to immediately. So again, in terms of the implementation, we intend to make sure that all the standards are adhered to on top of the standards that we already impose on the contractors. Things like having proper barriers, proper separation of traffic from the work zones, proper maintenance of the work areas, okay? Proper channelization of traffic, maintenance of all the equipment, having the right personnel to handle the traffic management functions, the flagman functions, emergency response function. So these are all in place to make sure that the WBC can do their work while minimizing the impact on the motorists. Part of the traffic management strategy is the existence of CMS, Complaint Management System, whereby it is a hotline manned by personnel and integrated with the info centers such as this one that you are in now, where anybody, any member of the public, any motorist, anyone can call the hotline or coming to the info center and ask questions or even raise complaints or any browsers or any queries that they have. And if there are complaints with regard, for example, say traffic situations, traffic problems, then the complaints will be logged down into the system, immediately transmitted to the relevant personnel, the relevant persons in charge. This means the contractor, us, the PDP, for the actions to be taken. So the system is there to ensure that the action by PDP and by the contractor is immediate. That is immediate. And this system is already up and running. So, as I mentioned just now, the whole idea of the CMS is to make sure that the complaints are logged into the system, transmitted to the relevant parties, and for the relevant parties, which you will see here, to work towards resolving the complaint within the specified time frame. We have specified time frame for different type of complaint. So we will ensure that the complaints are closed out, the complaints are dealt with in the most expeditious manner. Okay, the other initiatives that we are working on, for example, like what I showed here, staggered construction sequence, is already ongoing. What I mean by this is that the construction work areas will not be opened up in one long stretch at a time. We'll try to stagger the work areas so that the public is not really inconvenienced. So we only open up the work areas as and when it is necessary to start the works in accordance to our program. Okay? The other part of this initiative is actually to have staggered construction phases or sequence. So certain work zones would require lane closures or lane diversions, and we would do that in stages, probably stage 1, stage 2, where the diversions will be, the traffic will be rerouted through different schemes. Okay, so that is what we mean by staggered construction sequence. Now the third one, the third and the fourth actually involves not only MRT Corp, but also involves different agencies, because the third and the fourth initiative involves cooperation from other agencies such as Syarikat Prasarana with regard to providing the bus service. Because what we aim to do here, and this is still being discussed with the relevant authorities, is to provide bus services for commuters to the nearest LRT station, to encourage commuters or bus users to shift from bus to use rail. The fourth one is actually to look at whether it is possible to add additional routes for the BET, for the bus express transit. As you know, this is a very popular mode of transport because it's fast, it's quick. So we are discussing with the relevant authorities to see whether we can add additional routes for commuters to avoid the areas where the MRT construction will be going on. So these two initiatives are still ongoing. So the last one is to identify alternative routes for motorists to use as a means of, as Chairman said, as a means of avoiding the work areas. Because work areas are already congested, so these alternatives is a way for an alternative for them to avoid the areas. So we are going to show some samples here. This is basically just a preview. This information will be made available at the MRT website and also in the public. So if we look at area-wide alternative, when we say area-wide, it means it covers over a big area. For example, this one covers from the area from Sungai Buloh right down to the city center, the whole area. Just to explain to you, the blue line indicates the MRT alignment. That is the alignment of the MRT routes, we call it. The red line indicates with regard to this area, where are the roads that are going to be affected. The red is basically the affected stretch. That means if you are a motorist and you use this route, you go through this area, you are going to be affected. All right. So what we have come up is basically some alternatives for them to avoid getting stuck in the congestion. In this particular area, which is from Sungai Buloh to the city, we have identified 3 alternatives for them to take. Okay, the first and second would be if they are from the Sungai Buloh area, from this side, okay, the Sungai Buloh area, and if they are heading towards the city, this is the city. So for them to avoid this stretch, they can take this alternative, which is through the MKE, come out to the Jalan. Alternatively, they can take the LDP and take the Penchala lane to get to the city. By doing that, they can avoid this stretch. Okay. If you are staying in the area of Subang Lestari, then you could use this alternative as an option, okay, as opposed to going through the construction. Bear in mind, these are alternatives, but this is not the only alternative. These are some of the obvious alternatives that we are highlighting to the motorists. Okay. If you look at another area, this is at the city center. Just to give you a bit of orientation. This is the alignment. Again, the blue line is the alignment. The red line is the affected stretch. Okay. So if you are going through this area, going through this route, then you will be affected. Okay. Then you may want to consider looking at other alternatives, okay, to avoid congestion in this area. The dotted line that starts from here basically denotes the underground section. So the alignment is elevated from here and it starts to dive, it goes underground for the rest of the alignment. Okay, the alternative that they can take is basically Jalan Duta through Jalan Parlimen and Jalan Raja Chulai, which could take you to the vicinity of Jalan Tunggaza, which is somewhere. This will be somewhere near the Royal Salmon Complex. Okay. Alternatively, if you are heading back out from the city, going towards this side, towards Jalan Duta and elsewhere, then you could take Jalan Tunggaza and get onto Lokyu and the Boraya Mahamir. Okay, so these are the possible alternatives that you can take. Right. Okay, we look at another area from the city center right down to the Kajang area. Okay, this is basically somewhere near Maluri, near Cochrane and Maluri. Again, below is the MRT alignment. right down to the end station here in Kajang. Red is the affected stretch that we are highlighting here in this particular area. And these are the alternatives that we can take. First alternative is from Jalan Jumrazan, which is about here, going through Kampung Pandan, going through MRT, okay, right into Best Raya and into Silk. So by doing that, you are crisscrossing, but you are avoiding the congested area. Okay. Alternatively, you can take the KL Seremban Highway, right, North-South Expressway, Silk, right down to Kajang. This Silk Ring Road also acts as an alternative for people in this area. Right? Apart from the big area-wide sections that we looked at, we also looked at some smaller areas which we call sectional alternative routes. Okay? Again, these are not the definitive alternative. There could be many more alternatives, but these are ones that we would like to highlight to the motorists. So if you look at this first area, from Sungai Buloh to Kota Damansara, again, this is the MRT alignment. This is the back of Kota Damansara. This is Jalan Sungai Buloh, This, the red line, is basically the affected stretch if you are used